Okay, YouTube, we're back with another video for our Kelly Family Fitness channel. I'm with my son, Zach. We're going to cover the deadlift today. We're going to go over some techniques to make your deadlift a little bit better, a couple of philosophies that I have on the deadlift and how you should use it, and a couple of things you can do for preparedness before you do the lift. The first one we're going to do, I think, really helps is the couch stretch. Zach's going to do this one against the wall. He'll start out kind of in a 4-point stance and then take one foot up the wall. Knee will kind of post fairly close to the wall, but not so close that you can't get up into a lunge stance. He's going to take the other leg and come up to a lunge position and then kind of pull out of that lunge. And he's going to stretch the back leg, get into the rectus femoris, the psoas group. It's going to give him a little bit more ability to arch his back when he's deadlifting, which is really important for the deadlift. We're going to try to give you some strategies today to prevent injury and hopefully increase your work potential on your deadlift without getting hurt. Now, once he's into this stance and kind of starting to loosen up, you can do these for a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes at a time, whatever you want. Sometimes it's nice to put a little bit of lateral flexion in him, so I'm going to have him take his left arm and go overhead and then lean to his right and just kind of hang out. And you can see, I don't know if you can see or not, he's starting to shake from that. That's having a really nice impact on his body. It's definitely hitting some stuff that's tight. Yeah. So we want to start with one set of those, at least 1 minute, up to 2 or 3 minutes on each side. Okay, the other stretch we're going to do that I think should cover the majority of what we're going to need for this lift is a side lying stretch, and it's going to kind of combine that couch stretch that we just did with an outer hip and a spine stretch, as well as kind of like loosening up through the rib cage and the upper chest. So Zach, I want you to lay on your left side. All the way down. And I want you to kick your butt with your bottom heel. Just, you know, your bottom leg. There you go. Good. Now, we're going to take this top arm and grab the bottom leg and just kind of pull this leg in a stretch. So you can see where this is kind of getting into that couch stretch position. And I'm actually going to pull his thigh back a little bit so that we're kind of going to pre-stretch the front of his thigh and the front of his psoas, hip flexor group. From here, the top leg is going to go 90 degrees. And I want you to bend the knee. Good. Up just a little higher. And this is going to start stretching the outer hip rotators. He's going to take his bottom arm and just touch his top leg. Now, all I want you to do here, Zach, is slowly breathe, relax, and try to turn this shoulder towards the ground. And just keep working. Keep a little bit of tension on that top leg, but if it wants to come up a little bit to get the shoulder down farther, that's fine. And as he pulls into this, he's getting this great stretch across his trunk, into his outer rotator, and again into that quad and hip flexor group. So this is going to give him a really nice ability to arch his back when he's deadlifting. That's a nice stretch, isn't it? Have you done this one before?
No.
It's a very effective stretch. It's kind of hard to get into and it takes a minute to learn, but as you go through it and get better at it, you learn to really, really like this one. You can even see that like he's kind of elongating through his, as he gets into his trunk twist, he's kind of elongating his pec, getting into the anterior delt of his shoulder a little bit, getting a little bit of a stretch on the bicep by reaching back behind him. So it's a very nice stretch. Okay, Zach, relax out of that. It's important, I think, to address also just a couple of accessory exercises for this lift. The outer hip is the first one that I would pick. Almost everybody I work with seems to have weak outer hip rotators, especially like glute medius. I use these simple resistance bands that are already in the shape of a small loop. They're made by Synergy, I believe is the company. I got them on Amazon. Not a sponsor, but they could be if you know somebody. We'll take whatever we can get here. But anyway, with the resistance band around his ankles, with his body standing nice and tall, he's going to engage core. He's going to make sure his shoulders are level and slowly leading with his heel, not his toe. He's going to lead with his heel out to the side and pause. Don't lean. And not worried about height here, Zach, just worried about activation. So just slowly bring it out a little bit, not very far, and hold that. And back in. And give me just a couple more reps. Good, and getting the pause on each one. And where are you feeling that, Zach?
Right here.
Yep. Getting something over here yet too?
Yeah, a little bit.
So really interesting on this movement. If you do this standing hip abduction, you're going to get into the glute medius on this exercising leg But the base leg, the static leg, you're also going to get into the TFL, tensor fascia lata. And as he brings that weight out and pauses, he's getting good tension on this hip, but this stabilizer is firing an entirely different muscle that equally burns, right, Zach?
Yeah.
Yeah, bring it back down. All right, good. So with these, I recommend 3 sets, 10 reps, 2 to 4 count pauses every time you do lower body. It could be at the beginning or the end. I like it at the beginning of my workout. I find that I get better into deep stances if I work these muscles first. I think a lot of people, their outer hips are kind of locked and super tight because the rotators of their hip are weak. In other words, if your adductors are weak and your body does not want the femur to just be able to go everywhere where you can get hurt, it kind of locks everything down, makes everything super, super tight. So we start lacking rotation just because of weaknesses around the joint, okay? So I find that if I fire these first, it kind of calms everything down and I'm able to get better into my deadlifts and my squats before the workout with these. So one other very important exercise that I think will help you with your deadlift and your squat is strengthening the lower back. We want to strengthen those erectors of the spine. The hyperextension is a great way to do this. This machine, when you use it correctly, you should be able to activate hamstrings, butt, and low back all at the exact same time, which is what we want. We want to use that whole extensor chain. But we really want to focus on holding the lower back into kind of an isometric as you perform the motion. So what's going to happen is Zach's going to have his toes point down. That's very important. He's going to pull his calves or Achilles or whatever into the top pads. From there, he's going to arch his back and cross his arms. And then, Zach, as you lower down, you kind of want to keep your back arched. And then extend up out of that. Good, and down. And back up. And down. And back up. And for a lot of fun, Zach, go ahead and bend all the way over. Grab the top piece of that rubber band that's already anchored to the machine, the top one. Yep. Put that right over your upper back as if you were in squat position. Up. Just kind of hold it in place with your hands if you want, bud. There you go. And extend. Good. And back down. And back up. Good. I really like these. These almost get into an overload position on the lower back as you get to the hardest part of the motion. Zach, you can come on out of there. Nice job. Deadlift is one of the best exercises out there for building strength, power. It can work a large number of muscles at one time, so you get a lot of bang for your buck with one single exercise. When it's done correctly, just the activation in your upper back, keeping your chest out, you're going to work upper back, shoulders, you're going to work lower back, hamstrings, glutes, pretty much your entire extensor chain. Okay, so before you even do the deadlift, part of the lift starts with the setup. And regardless of whether or not you want to go conventional, which is about a hip width stance, or into a sumo stance, it does not matter. You address the bar the same way. I always recommend making sure that the bar is parallel to a wall or a mirror or something, just so you can gauge that the bar is straight. If your bar is a little bit crooked and you step into your bar, you will inevitably turn parallel to a wall in front of you and your body will be crooked. Your body's going to follow your bar. So it's going to help you a ton in the long run to get your bar nice and straight, and then you address it by walking into it and touching it. Go ahead and set up conventional, Zach. On a conventional deadlift, you walk in and touch with your shins. You make contact with the bar. From that position, your hands are always going to be just straight down from your shoulders. That's regardless of your width of your stance. But from this position, you'll squat down and grab the bar. From there, you're going to arch your back. We'll come back to it. Your arms are always going to be straight down from your shoulders regardless of which position you use, whether it's sumo or conventional. From this position, super, super key to pinch your shoulders. And then you want to try to push up the logo on your shirt. Okay? If you think logo up, think chest up. All right? Then when you come up in the lift, you're going to come up head first. Go ahead and do it slowly. Lock out hips and knees same time. Boom. And then back down. Now, I want to do one, Zach, to show them the other way, the wrong way to do it, where you're going to lock out your knees just before you lock out your back. Okay. So you'll see a lot of people that foul their deadlift, that screw up their deadlift by not coming up head first. They come up with their back, they lock out their knees, and then they finish with their spine. And that is absolutely what you don't want to do. This is where people get hurt. Good, rest.
That hurt even without it.
Shit, yeah. Okay, this is really important. I wanted to add this in. We almost got out of here and didn't shoot this for this video, but a lot of you that are into Olympic weightlifting, you're going to notice that my technique for deadlift is not the same as what you do for a power clean. On a power clean, you want your shoulders to cover your bar at the bottom position. I'm teaching Zach to get his nose almost behind the bar on the deadlift. Two totally different techniques. Let's cover the power clean real quick. So the deadlift position on the power clean, narrow your shoes up a little bit. Go into your squat position, shoulders a little bit over your bar. Yep. And go ahead and do a power clean. Good. Now notice that is a lot different than what we're working on with the deadlift. The powerlifting version of the deadlift is much easier on the spine. The technique for the power clean is slightly different though. You're going to set up with your shoulders a little bit more over your bar because your technique on the power clean is to almost push your knees away and then jump into your clean. So I wanted to point that out before we ended this video. Okay, so this is key for anybody that deadlifts, any stance, whether it's sumo or conventional. The most important thing to understand is you want to try to arch your lower back, put a little bit of a concave shape. It already has it when we're born. If you watch a little baby walk around with a shirt out, they already have this nice little arch in their back. You want this arch in your back before you pull and throughout the pull. Where people get hurt is when they round their lower back, they tuck their tail, and then they overdo their erectors in their spine, and they put their discs and their vertebrae in bad position. So Zach's going to address the bar here. We've got his shirt off just to show what we want. He's going to go full squat from addressing the bar. He's going to go chest up, and he's looking for this nice concave shape, or even a flat back would be fine. But he wants to maintain this position throughout his pull. Go ahead and pull, Zach, up tall. Good, and you notice the low back did not round, the tail did not tuck. As he comes down from the lift, same deal. Chest is up, holding this isometric in the spine. This is key to avoiding injury. If you cannot hold that position, probably means your bar is too low. So if you find yourself struggling to keep your back arch in the bottom position, usually it means you're lacking some mobility somewhere or a little bit of strength. Regardless of what that is, a better option is to get the bar higher up. Now, there are a lot of power racks that'll have bars that run across in a cage type setting where you could set your barbell off the floor onto some spotter pins. You could use bumper plates and put them underneath the plates that you're lifting to bring the bar off the ground. I use gymnastics mats here for my people when I'm first teaching them how to deadlift. Just by bringing this bar up 4 or 5 inches off the ground, Zach is going to be able to hold his position, his lower back much easier, and he's going to be able to pull a better amount of weight with less risk of injury. So he's going to teach his body the motion the right way. He's going to build strength, and he's going to build some confidence in the motion. He's going to learn more about himself and the motion by doing it the way that it's easiest for his body to get to the position. So this will still work conventional or sumo. Good. Now this particular movement is very foreign to Zach. He never has to use the mats. He's a strong guy. He was a wrestler. He's got a good handle on the deadlift, so this seems a little bit foreign to him. But this is by far the safest way for 90% of the population to learn this movement is a little higher off the ground and then work lower, lower, lower as you maintain that arch position in your lower back. Once you get to that rounded position, you're just setting yourself up for trouble. This is how you want to learn this lift. Make your feet nice and wide for sumo deadlift. This one is going to be dependent on how mobile your adductor group is, how flexible your inner thighs are. Generally speaking, his shins are going to be almost out to the rings that you may use to gauge where your bench press grip goes to. From this position, he's touching his shins to the bar. He's going to go full squat. Arms are still going to be shoulder width. Chest is still going to be up. Knees are going to be out to engage the hips, so push your knees apart a little bit, Zach. Yep, chest is up, show the logo, come up head first. Nice lift. Pro tip, how do you load your bar easier, tear it down easier? Take a little guy, tuck it underneath the inside plate, boom, plate jack. Now it's zero work, you just slide the next weight on. Always numbers in or you're gonna look like a gym rookie. There we go, roll it off your plate jack, you're good to go. All right? Use a small plate when you're adding a bunch of big plates on there. Make your life easy. So this is the hex bar, and the advantage of this one is you stand inside of it. The handles are gonna be right outside your shins, so you're pulling from the side of your body, which inevitably is going to put the resistance closer to your center of gravity. Okay, so once you're inside the hex bar, you're gonna stand right in the middle of the handles with your shins. Feet generally would start about shoulder to hip width, somewhere in that range. You have the option to go wider because your hands aren't gonna crowd your knees either way. He's gonna go full squat, grab the handles right in the middle. Knees are gonna stay open, that's gonna keep the hips open. Chest is gonna be up. He's gonna push down to the ground hard with his heels, pull his head up tall. Excellent. And you notice he locked out knees and hips at the exact same time. Let's see one more rep just like that, Zach. Tight, tight, tight. Head up. Good. Knees and hips. Perfect. Well done, Zach. Nice lift. Okay, so hopefully this video gave you a little bit better understanding for how to perform the deadlift and opened your eyes to the idea that you don't have to learn the deadlift with heavy weight on the floor. That's where you're going to get hurt. Start out with lower reps and lighter weights. These kind of lifts you want to perform with lower repetitions with perfect form.
Thanks for watching our video. Make sure to like and subscribe.